Welcome to the DIY Granite Care and Polish demonstration video. In this video, we're going to go over how you can take care of, maintain, clean, and then repolish your granite yourself. Everything that you're going to see demonstrated in this video is available in a kit through easystonecare.com. The link to the home care kit will be provided in the description of this video. We're going to get started, first of all, by a few things that you might have in your own home. We're going to be using just a standard drill for this. This is a Makita cordless drill. You can use any cordless drill that you might have. Make sure it's on low speed. We have a couple paint applicator pads. You can get these at your local hardware store. This is what we're going to use when we apply the sealer at the end of the process. Blue tape to help us protect adjacent surfaces, and some nitrile gloves. Those are all available to you at your local hardware store. What you're going to get in the kit through Easy Stone Care is first and foremost the actual restoration kit. We have Easy Scrub. This is what we're going to use to clean the granite. We have MB20. This is our premium professional grade granite polish, and then we're going to use a solvent-based sealer at the very, very end. This is not a low VOC sealer. There is a slight odor to this. If you do need a no VOC sealer, we do have that as an option as well. In this kit, we have a flexible 5-inch drill kit applicator, as well as 2 white pads, one for the Easy Scrub cleaning and then one for the polishing. Also included in the kit is a daily cleaner, Easy Oxy, as well as a regular maintenance polish and protector. And we'll demonstrate how to use both these products in the cleaning and maintenance of your countertop. What we're going to get started with is a very basic masking technique. What we want to do is create a dam to contain any slurry from this process. All the products we're going to use in the light restoration of your countertop are going to be used in a wet to dry fashion. So we're going to start off a little wet. When you turn the drill on for the first time, it's going to send a little bit of splatter out from the applicator pad, so to protect your floor and cabinets and range tops from getting dirty, we're going to use this tape to dam that splatter into the working surface. Okay, with that we're ready to get started. You don't need a lot of tape. All we're really trying to do is contain the splatter. The splatter from any of these products, if it does get on adjacent surfaces, your floors, your cabinets, it doesn't damage any of that, but it's a lot easier to do a little bit of this prep work up front than it is to wipe down all the floors and cabinets in your kitchen. We're going to use just our standard drill, and we're going to install the backer pad and lock it into place. We're going to start with the Easy Scrub, and you don't need a lot, maybe just a teaspoon worth of product to begin with. A clean white pad, which comes in the care kit. Okay, and we're just going to keep it on low speed. You might even, instead of pulling the trigger all the way, you might even start with more of a partial trigger pull so that you can control the product a little bit better. We want to keep the drill in a nice perpendicular position. Okay, so that section's done. One thing you'll notice immediately is that the granite feels much smoother. Okay, there's a very, very mild abrasive in the Easy Scrub. When we first turn the drill on, you see slurry marks, swirl marks from the wet compound. And we just work the surface gradually. You don't need to add a lot of pressure until it's completely dried off the surface, which is we have here. So we're going to continue that same process throughout this entire section of the countertop. So with this initial section of the countertop done, now we're going to move on to our MB20. This is our polishing compound. This is really where we're going to get that pop out of the granite countertop. This is a white paste or cream. You want to use a fresh applicator pad. So we're going to set this aside for future use with the Easy Scrub and apply a clean white pad to our machine. We're going to use about a teaspoon's worth of product. We're going to polish the entire thing at once. Okay, we're going to put the teaspoon of product in the center. The first step is to spread it over the entire area, and then we're going to gradually work the product wet to dry, just like we did with the Easy Scrub. But first, what I want to do is I'm going to go along the edges where the tape was, and I'm just going to wipe it down to make sure that we don't have any residual Easy Scrub on the surface that can get caught in our applicator pad when we polish and then cause us problems. And you can kind of see, it's a good thing I did that. There was some residue that I was able to wipe off the edges and corners. So when I say a teaspoon, you're going to kind of eyeball it. And what we want to do is when we put the applicator pad down, we don't want the product to build up in the center of the pad. So we're going to put the applicator pad down so that the product's on the edge of our applicator pad. Just like with the first part of the Easy Scrub, we're going to go at low speed, a partial trigger pull just to spread the product over the whole area. Then we'll hold the trigger down to polish the rest of the way out. Okay, now that I have it spread out, the product spread out over the whole area, I'm just going to gradually move the machine back and forth, maybe in small circles over the entire area until all the product is dry and removed from the surface. So that's done. Now we're going to do that exact same process throughout the rest of the countertop. Okay, so we're done cleaning the countertop with the Easy Scrub. There is a light residue in certain parts of the countertop, so prior to polishing, we're going to clean that with just a microfiber rag, which is also in the kit that you would purchase, and we're going to use some of the Easy Oxy, and all that's going to do is really wet the residue to make it easier to clean off the surface. Now we're ready to polish. That whole process that you just saw, the cleaning and the cleaning of the residue on this entire island took maybe 30 minutes. Now we're going to go into the polishing section. By the time we're done, start to finish, a small island this size is going to be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour of your time. All right, so we're ready to polish with our MB20. We're going to switch applicators. And in the previous demonstration you saw we used about a teaspoon worth of product to polish this small section. Well, we're going to take bigger sections at a time. If we only do small sections, it'll take forever to polish this countertop. So we're going to use a little bit more product and cover these large sections entirely at one shot instead of just breaking them up into small sections. So just like before, I put a small amount of product directly on the surface. It's going to be a little bit more than a teaspoon this time. And just like last time, we're going to pick it up on the edge of our applicator pad, spread it out over the whole surface at slow speed, and then at full speed, we'll polish the entire section. Also, as you progress through the countertop, you can use slightly less product with each section because the product is built up in the pad as we work it wet to dry. So as we move from section to section, I'm going to use slightly less product each section. All right, here is a more close-up shot of the use of MB20. You notice I put it on the edge of the pad as we discussed, quickly spread it out over the whole area, and then we're going to gradually be working it into the area, small sections at a time. You notice the slurring develop, those streak marks. They look like smear marks in the reflection where the light is as I'm moving the applicator pad back and forth. What we're going to be doing is working the compound in gradually until those marks are dry. And once they're dry, we can easily clean them off with a little bit of Easy Oxy and a microfiber pad. But we're just going to run the applicator pad over this section gradually until the compound and the streaking is no longer wet but completely dry. And this is what you see when the compound is starting to dry on the surface. You can see the shine coming through the granite, through the streak marks being left by the MB20 and the applicator pad. This is how you know you're pretty much done polishing and you're almost ready to kind of clean the section and get rid of the residue. Okay, moving on to the rest of the countertop, we're going to take the countertop, the top part, the bar top, in larger sections. You can see me applying the MB20 right here. We don't need a lot. We do have some buildup in the pad. Again, we're picking the outside edge of the applicator pad, and we're going to take a larger section at a time. This is going to allow us to more efficiently and more quickly polish the entire countertop. This is a really good example of what the MB20 should look like when you first start working it into the solution. You see those streaks, those marks are very, very wet solution. And as you work the drill and the applicator pad over the surface, you'll see those dry out. But that's a really good example of what they look like when your compound is wet initially. In just a couple seconds here, you're going to see what the compound and what the countertop will look like as the compound is drying. It's a very subtle difference, but it's something that you can certainly tell if you pay just a little bit of attention to the video right here. Right there, you can see where there are sections of the polished granite that are exposed. And just streak marks along where the edges of the applicator pad are. That's how you can tell that the compound is drying off the surface. You can see right here where you have those kind of voids in between the edges of the applicator pad of exposed polished granite, and then the streak marks along those edges. That's how you know when the compound's dry enough to move on to the next section. This residue you see right here is easily, as I explain a little later in the video, is very easy to clean off with a little bit of Easy Oxy and a microfiber pad. One little trick that you can use to tell if you're getting a polished surface, and you're going to see me perform it right here, I can take my finger and rub the countertop, and that just exposes a space where I rub the dry compound off the surface, and I can kind of check the reflection from an angle of the countertop to see if I'm getting the desired polish. It's a little trick that you can use to know when you can move on to the next section of the countertop. Before I finish up this countertop, I'm going to take a little bit of Easy Oxy and a microfiber rag, and I'm just going to clean real quick this section. This just helps before the compound gets too dry and makes it more difficult possibly at the end to get the residue off the surface. I like to do this before we move on to the next step, but you can see how quickly and easily that residue comes off with just a little bit of Easy Oxy. You can see the nice polished granite countertop beneath all that polished compound residue. But it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit and a little bit of elbow grease, and you get all of that compound off the surface before moving on to the next section of the countertop. Granite counter has been cleaned and polished, and we are ready to move on to the sealing stage. One thing to take note of, which you saw me do in the previous video, is after I polished each section, I was spraying just a light amount of the Easy Oxy on the surface and then cleaning off the residue. With this product, these are professional grade products, the MB20 for sure. And when we use it in the field, we are using a heavy duty variable speed buffer. That tends to burn the MB20 into the surface, and those streak marks are very difficult to get out. This system is designed for you, a homeowner, to use, and by virtue of that fact, it's not nearly as aggressive, and so those streak marks aren't getting burned into the surface. Because of that, you know it's polished when you notice the compound is dried and streaky on the surface. You notice at one point I was running my finger along the completed area. I was just exposing the polished surface underneath the dried compound. So when we say work it wet to dry, you work the system or the surface until the paste has become a dry residue. And then it's very easy to clean that residue off with just a little bit of Easy Oxy and a microfiber rag. Now we can remove the tape and we're ready to seal the countertops. So now we're ready to seal the countertops. We're going to demonstrate for you the proper way to seal countertops. An important thing to note about sealers is that the only function that a sealer has is to inhibit staining agents. Okay? So what that means is a properly sealed countertop, if you spilled something that could stain it, like say coffee or wine, if it allows you enough time that if you act quickly, you can wipe it up without leaving a red or a brown mark behind. That said, no matter how well a surface is sealed, if a staining agent is allowed to sit on the surface long enough, you're going to have a stain. So really this is a preventative measure to allow you time to clean up something that could actually stain the surface. Sealers do not prevent other common issues that you have with your countertops, such as scratching and chipping. But applying a sealer as part of the clean and polish process is always our standard operating procedure. Homeowner kits, there are two options for sealer. We have a small can of solvent-based sealer. This is not a low VOC product. There is an odor to it, so if you're sensitive to odors, you would want to take this option here. This is MB24. This is a no VOC water-based sealer. There is no odor to this. It's a little bit more expensive. There's, as you can see, quite a lot more of it, so you'll probably never use all of it, but it's a good alternative to the solvent-based, which can have a heavy odor. In this video, we're going to demonstrate the application of the solvent-based sealer, but regardless of which sealer that you choose to go with, the application process will be the same. Plus, you're definitely going to want to wear your nitrile gloves. Short-term or minimal contact with your skin, the sealer contacting your skin, short-term is probably not that bad for you, but you certainly don't want to have prolonged contact with bare skin on the sealer. So for the application process, we're going to use just a standard paint pad that you can get at any of your local hardware stores. Okay. And you can pour this product directly on the surface of the countertop. Before we apply sealer, we want to make sure that there is no residue on the surface. So prior to this point, we go through with a little bit of the Easy Oxy and a rag to make sure all the residue is off the surface. So a little bit goes a long way. So just a small amount there, and I'm just going to very gently apply it evenly over an entire area. Okay. All right. Once the area has been covered evenly with the sealer, we allow a very short dwell time. If you allow too much of a dwell time and you allow the sealer to dry to the surface, then you wind up with issues in the end that you wind up having to do a much more intensive restoration process to solve. So after a very short dwell time, we take a clean rag and then just hand buff off the excess. And we're going to repeat that process in small sections throughout the entire countertop. Certain stones perhaps are more porous naturally than others, and so those might require multiple treatments, spaced maybe 12 to 24 hours apart, but your average granite countertop does not need any more than one application following the clean and polish procedure. The final step in the clean and polish process is the use of the ultimate spray, polish, and protector. It doesn't require a lot of product, just a light mist, then apply it with a clean microfiber rag, and then flip the rag over and buff off excess. All right, there you go. Now you're ready to clean, polish, seal, and protect your countertops without having to hire a professional.